The stars heard their plea, but it was Earth that responded. On the surface, the small alien city of Dravok shivered under the weight of fear. Life here was simple but harsh. Every day the citizens struggled to grow food, repair machines, and stay alive under the Empire's rule. The Empire had conquered dozens of worlds, taking food, fuel, and technology wherever it wanted. The Varens had resisted for decades, but each year their losses grew heavier. In the council hall, 3 leaders sat together. They were tired and pale. Lauren, a male Varen with thin arms and eyes that seemed too old for his body, spoke first. "We cannot last another year. The Empire will destroy the last farms if we do not act soon." Mura, a female Varen with sharp features, shook her head. "We have tried all our allies. None will help. The signal, it is our last hope." She tapped a small glowing sphere on the table. It hummed quietly. Inside it, their plea for help waited. The third leader, a young male named Radin, clenched his fists. "What if no one hears us? What if we die in silence?" His voice trembled, though he tried to hide it. Lauren leaned forward. "We have to try. We have to send this into the deep sky. Maybe someone out there will answer." That night, under the cold light of 3 moons, the Varens activated the sphere. It shivered and pulsed, sending a message into the black emptiness of space. The words were simple, spoken in the language of survival. "Help us. We are dying. We beg for aid." Far away, on a planet called Earth, the message drifted across millions of miles. It passed stars and debris, moving slowly until it entered the listening orbit of a small civilian station. The station was not military. It was run by volunteers who loved to watch the stars. Clara Benson was at her desk. She was young, with brown hair tied in a loose ponytail. She looked tired, but her eyes were sharp. Her job was to scan deep space signals for unusual patterns. Suddenly, a faint pulse appeared on her screen. It was unlike anything she had seen. "Jack," she called. Jack Morrow, a former rescue pilot, came over. He was tall, with short black hair and strong arms. He had flown many dangerous missions on Earth, but he was always calm. "What is it?" he asked. Clara pointed at the screen. "I don't know. It looks like a distress signal, but it is in a strange pattern, almost like it is coming from outside the galaxy." Jack leaned closer. "Can you decode it?" Clara shook her head. "I can try, but the language is not known. The math and rhythms are unusual. It is not human." They worked together through the night. Slowly, patterns emerged. It was indeed a message. It spoke of war, of dying people, and of hope. The aliens were desperate, pleading for help from anyone who could hear. Jack rubbed his face. "This is serious. If it is real, these people are in trouble, really bad trouble." Clara nodded. "And they are alone. No one else in the galaxy seems to care." The next day, they brought the signal to the Earth Space Council. A small group of leaders debated what to do. Some thought it was a trap. Others said it was foolish to send humans into unknown danger. Finally, after hours of arguments, they decided to send a small team. Not soldiers, scouts and volunteers. Humans were young, but Earth had a history of surviving dangerous worlds. Maybe that was what these aliens needed. Jack and Clara were chosen to lead the mission. Their task was simple in theory: find the aliens, give aid, and return. But they both knew it would not be simple at all. Preparations took weeks. The team trained in harsh simulations of toxic air, strong winds, and violent storms. The engineers built ships that were rugged and simple, not fancy or fast, but strong enough to survive the unknown. Earth had few allies in space, but they had ingenuity. Finally, the day came. The human fleet launched quietly from Earth orbit. No one on the ground cheered. This was a secret mission. Earth did not want to announce itself to the galaxy yet. The humans traveled at high speed, passing familiar planets, then passing unknown systems until the stars stretched endlessly around them. Jack stared at the viewport. "I hope someone is out there," he said quietly. Clara nodded. "They are. They sent the signal. They hope someone will hear it, and now we are here." Days later, the human fleet approached the Varen system. The first planet was harsh and rocky, with a thin, orange atmosphere. Lightning danced across the sky, and the wind roared constantly. The humans landed carefully. The ground was uneven, and their boots sank into soft rock and dust. At first, no one appeared. Then, from a ridge, 3 figures emerged. They were thin, with long arms and pale skin. Lauren, Mura, and Radin were there. They watched the humans cautiously, their eyes wide. The Varens had expected machines or messages, not living beings. Jack stepped forward, hands raised. "We are here to help. We mean no harm." Mura studied him. "Help," she asked. Her voice was rough. "We have sent calls across the sky for decades. No one has come." "Why should we believe you?" Clara smiled gently. "Because we are humans, we survive where others would not, and because you asked for help and someone listened." Lauren's eyes softened. He gestured to the humans. "Then we must speak." For hours, the humans and Varens talked. They explained needs, dangers, and fears. The humans listened, learning about the Empire's control, the constant shortage of food, and the collapsing farms. They learned that the Varens lived with fear every day, that they were skilled but exhausted, that they had hoped anyone would hear their plea. That night, the humans camped on the rocky surface. Jack looked at the Varen sky, filled with strange stars and streaks of violet light. He thought about the Empire that waited, ready to crush anyone who helped. He thought about how small their team was. But he also thought about why humans answered pleas. It was not bravery alone. It was because humans had learned that doing nothing in the face of suffering often brought worse disasters later. Clara sat beside him. "They are not weak," she said. "They are just tired. If we can teach them to survive longer, maybe they will have a chance." Jack nodded. "And if we fail—" "We will not fail," Clara interrupted. "Humans don't turn back from a fight, not when lives are at stake." For the first time in decades, Lauren, Mura, and Radden felt hope. Maybe help had come from where they least expected it. Maybe, just maybe, Earth would answer the stars' plea. And far beyond, in the endless black of space, the Empire's spies would soon notice new ships. But for now, humans and aliens shared a quiet moment under strange moons, preparing for what would come next. The stars had heard the call, and now Earth was listening. Part 2. Deathworld Manners, the Varen planet, was harsh. The wind screamed constantly across the jagged rocks. Storms came without warning, and lightning struck the ground like jagged knives. Humans called such worlds death worlds, places where life was difficult, and only the strong or clever survived. Jack Morrow and his team quickly learned what this meant. Jack led the humans down a steep ridge, their boots sinking into soft rock and dust. The Varens followed cautiously. Lauren, Mura, and Radden were skilled, but they had never faced beings who could work in these conditions without complaint. The humans carried heavy packs, tools, and supplies. They were not fast, but they were steady. "This is where your farms collapse?" Clara asked Mura as they walked. The wind tore at her hair and dust stung her eyes. Mura nodded. "Yes. The Empire's ships block rain clouds, destroy irrigation, and steal what little we grow. Most crops die before they can be eaten." Clara looked around. The soil was cracked and dry. Strange plants struggled to survive. "We can help," she said, "but it will take time." Jack stopped and pointed to a slope where a small stream once ran. "If we can divert water from the northern mountains, your farms will survive the next storms." He turned to Lauren. "You will need to teach us how to plant and care for your crops, but the humans are quick learners." Lauren studied Jack for a long moment. Humans were strange. They did not wear heavy armor or carry weapons at every step, yet they moved with confidence in this hostile land. "Very well," he said finally. "Show us what you can do." For days, humans and Varens worked together. Jack and his team reinforced fragile buildings, patched broken pipes, and set up storm shelters. Clara helped the Varens communicate ideas more clearly. She showed them simple engineering tricks that humans had learned from surviving harsh winters and deserts on Earth. At first, the Varens were skeptical. Their world had rules, and outsiders rarely survived its punishments. But the humans did not complain. They walked through storms, lifted heavy rocks, and repaired equipment in dust and lightning. Slowly, the Varens began to see that humans were not afraid because they were reckless. Humans were used to danger, and they accepted it as part of life. Mura watched a human named Riley, a young engineer, carry a water pump through a mudslide. "How can they do this without fear?" she asked Lauren. Lauren shrugged. "I do not know. It is not bravery, not in our sense. It is endurance. They are used to surviving." The humans built small shelters for Varen families. They taught the aliens to grow plants in reinforced soil beds that could survive storms. Clara helped set up communication devices so the Varens could warn each other of danger faster. Slowly, hope began to grow where despair had ruled. One morning, the humans and Varens were working on a new farm when a low rumble shook the ground. Clouds swirled above and lightning streaked across the sky. A storm was coming. The Varens froze, expecting disaster. Jack raised his hand. "Move quickly, stay low. We can survive this together." The humans ran without hesitation, helping the Varens lift tools and carry fragile plants to safety. The wind was strong and rain lashed down. Many Varens slipped, but humans pulled them back up. When the storm passed, the farm was mostly intact. The Varens stared at the humans, astonished. Mura whispered, "They are not like anyone we have met. They survive what would kill us." Clara smiled. "On Earth, we call this training. We practice surviving disasters so we can protect each other." Radin, who had been quiet until now, spoke. "Then perhaps we are not alone in the universe. Perhaps someone cares." Over the next weeks, the humans helped the Varens in every way they could. They repaired broken ships, taught simple medical techniques, and showed the aliens how to manage their farms better. The humans did not demand respect. They treated the Varens as equals, listening to their ideas and learning from them. This was a new experience for the aliens, who were used to outsiders treating them as weak or inferior. Jack noticed that the Varens began to smile more often, even laugh. Small children followed the humans around, fascinated by their strange tools and clothing. Clara taught some of the children simple words in human languages, and they repeated them with joy. Hope, something almost forgotten, returned to the planet. But not all news was good. Scouts reported signs of the Empire. Ships moved near the outer planets of the Varen system. The aliens panicked. Decades of fear returned. Lauren called a council and the humans joined. "They will come," Lauren said. "They know we have received help. They will try to destroy us first before we can fight back." Jack nodded. "We expected that. We do not fear them. Humans have faced stronger enemies on our homeworld. We will show you how to survive even if the Empire attacks." Mura asked, "Can humans fight? Can they stop the Empire?" Jack smiled. "We fight differently. Not always with fancy weapons, but with endurance, teamwork, and refusing to give up. That is what makes humans dangerous." The Varens listened, unsure but hopeful. For the first time, they felt that perhaps someone would stand with them, not because of treaties or politics, but because humans understood suffering and would not ignore it. Jack and Clara organized training for the alien volunteers. They showed the Varens how to reinforce buildings, how to work in teams under extreme conditions, and how to use simple traps and defenses to slow down invaders. The humans were not trying to fight an entire empire yet. They were teaching survival, preparation, and courage. One day, while training near a rocky cliff, a young Varen named Selen fell. She slipped on wet stone and tumbled toward a jagged edge. Jack jumped, catching her in his arms just in time. The Varens gasped. "Why would you risk yourself for us?" Selen asked. Jack set her down. "Because someone has to help when others cannot. That is what humans do. We survive and we help." Mura watched silently. She realized that humans did not just survive for themselves. They survived to protect others. The Varens had never seen this before. Lauren, too, nodded slowly. "Then perhaps we can survive," he said. As the days passed, the humans and Varens worked harder. The farms improved, shelters became stronger, and communication lines were secure. Hope spread across the land. Stories of humans who endured storms, carried the weak, and solved impossible problems traveled from village to village. The Varens began to tell each other quietly, "These humans, they are different. They survive when we would have died." One evening, Jack and Clara sat on a ridge, watching the violet clouds and 3 moons rise over the jagged landscape. "They trust us," Clara said softly. Jack nodded. "And they should. Humans do not abandon others, not when they need help. We survive together or we fail together." Far above, unseen by all, enemy scouts moved through space, watching the Varen system. They had seen the human ships land. The Empire would not let this stand. Soon, the Varens would face attacks larger than they had imagined. But for now, on the surface of the harsh planet, humans and aliens worked side by side. They repaired, learned, and survived. The Varens began to understand the strange ways of humans. Bravery was not just courage. It was endurance, it was action in the face of danger, it was refusing to give up. And in that understanding, the first real hope in decades was born. The humans had arrived, not with threats or promises, but with action. They taught survival in a death world, and in doing so, they gave the Varens something they had forgotten. The knowledge that even in the darkest worlds, help could arrive, and that life, no matter how small, could fight back. The Empire was coming, yes. But the humans had already changed the planet. The Varens were learning to survive, to fight, and to hope. And that was something no empire could take away. Part 3. The Empire strikes first. The calm on Vera did not last. Scouts returning from the outer planets brought alarming news. The Empire had discovered the human fleet. Huge warships moved silently through space, faster than the eye could follow. Their weapons glowed ominously, and their intentions were clear: destroy the humans and punish anyone who had received their aid. In the council hall, Lauren, Mura, and Radin paced nervously. The humans, Jack and Clara, stood quietly, letting the aliens speak first. "They will strike soon," Lauren said. "We have no fleet to fight them. We have no walls strong enough to hold. We are weak." Jack shook his head. "You are not weak. You survived storms, hunger, and slavery. Humans do not need walls to fight." "We adapt, we endure, and we hold when others flee," Mura glared. "Words will not stop the Empire. They kill thousands in a single attack." "Then we will fight smarter," Jack said calmly. "We cannot win by power alone, but we can survive and resist. That is the first step." The humans and Varans worked day and night. They set up hidden shelters, reinforced farms, and traps in key locations. The humans taught the Varans to move silently across rocks and ridges, to watch the skies for incoming ships, and to work in teams that could act without orders. One morning, alarm sirens blared across the small colonies. The Empire had arrived. Massive ships appeared in orbit, blotting out the light of Vera's twin suns. The aliens panicked. Children ran to shelters. Workers froze in fear. The humans remained calm. Jack climbed onto a ridge and shouted to the aliens, "Do not run. Stay with us. We will protect you." "Follow our lead." Village by village, humans and Varans prepared for the assault. Jack led a small strike team to disable the Empire's first landing shuttles. The humans moved fast, using the planet's rocky terrain to hide their approach. Varans followed, learning to move quietly and act without hesitation. The first clash came near a ruined city. Empire soldiers disembarked from their shuttles, armed with advanced weapons. They expected easy targets. What they found were humans who did not fear death and Varans who had learned endurance. Riley, a young human engineer, threw smoke charges, confusing the enemy. Jack and two Varans attacked in coordinated strikes, disabling several soldiers with careful timing. The Empire had superior firepower, but the humans used terrain, timing, and teamwork to even the odds. Mura watched from a cliff. She whispered, "They fight differently. They are not reckless. They are precise, and they do not stop." Clara moved between groups, treating wounds and giving instructions. "Keep calm," she shouted. "Remember your training. Do not panic. Work together." The first battle lasted hours. The Empire expected a quick victory, but humans and Varans held positions, rescued wounded, and repaired defenses under fire. When the Empire finally retreated to their ships, they were shocked. Humans had not fled, and the Varans had not broken. "How is this possible?" a young Empire officer asked. "They should have fallen immediately." Jack returned to the ridge, exhausted but steady. He looked at Lauren. "This is just the beginning. We cannot destroy the Empire yet, but we can survive." "And surviving is the first step to victory." Radin, still shaken, asked, "But we are so small. How can we fight such power?" Jack smiled. "We fight in ways you do not expect. Humans survive where others die. We do not win by destroying everyone at first. We win by refusing to break, by helping those around us, and by using every weakness the enemy shows." The Varans began to understand. The humans had endured worse on Earth. They had faced storms, earthquakes, famine, and war. Their skill was not in advanced technology alone. It was in endurance, in learning from hardship, and in refusing to abandon others. That night the humans held a council with the Varans. The aliens had seen death and fire, and many feared the next attack. Jack spoke softly but firmly. "Tomorrow they will come again. Perhaps stronger, perhaps more prepared. We will hold. You have learned much in the last weeks. You survived storms, you repaired your farms, you built defenses. Now you will survive an attack. Do not be afraid. We do not fight for glory. We fight to protect life. Remember that." Mura nodded slowly. "We will try. We must try. If humans can do this, perhaps we can too." The humans and Varans trained through the night. They moved supplies, hid children, and prepared the wounded. The first battle had shown the Empire that humans and Varans were not easy targets. Now they had to prepare for something worse. The next morning the Empire returned, this time in larger numbers. The sky above Vera glowed red as hundreds of landing shuttles descended. The humans moved quickly, setting traps, reinforcing positions, and guiding Varans to safer areas. Jack led a team to intercept the first wave. Bullets and energy blasts filled the air. Varens hesitated at first, but humans guided them, showing how to move in cover, how to strike and retreat, and how to work as a team. Slowly, the aliens learned. They blocked enemy paths, sabotaged weapons, and rescued each other. Clara moved between wounded and fighters, applying simple but effective treatments. She encouraged the Varens, telling them, "You are stronger than you believe. Do not let fear control you." Hours passed. The Empire expected a quick victory. Instead, they faced resistance everywhere. Humans were not fast or numerous, but they were relentless. Varens followed their example. The Empire suffered losses they had not anticipated. Mura watched from a ridge as Lauren and Radin coordinated a defense. "Humans have changed us," she whispered. "We fight not because we want to, but because we must and we can." Jack noticed that the Empire had started retreating. Their shuttles lifted off with more damage than they had expected. He turned to Lauren. "They will return, but you now know what humans can do. You can survive, and survival is the first step to winning." Radin smiled faintly, hope returning to his face. "We may have allies in ways we never imagined." That night, the humans and Varens celebrated quietly. There were losses, but they had survived. The aliens began to see that humans did not fight for pride or power, but because life mattered. Jack and Clara had shown them that endurance, teamwork, and courage were more dangerous than any weapon. Far above, Empire leaders scowled at their monitors. "These humans are not like the others," one said. "They do not fear us, they adapt, they do not break." "Then they must be eliminated entirely," another said. "We cannot allow them to survive." But the humans had already changed the battle. The Varens had learned endurance. They had learned courage, and they had learned to fight as one, guided by humans who knew how to survive where others failed. Jack and Clara stood on a cliff, watching the horizon. Storms approached, but they did not fear. "This is only the start," Jack said. Clara nodded. "And we will be ready. Humans survive, remember. We do not turn back even when the danger is greatest." The Empire would return, stronger and more furious. But for the first time, the Varens believed that they could stand against it. The humans had taught them survival, and survival was a weapon more powerful than any fleet. The first battle was over. The lesson had been learned. Humans fought not with the strongest ships or the deadliest weapons, but with endurance, strategy, and the will to protect those who could not protect themselves. And the Empire, for the first time in decades, began to fear a new kind of enemy: humans who refused to break. Part 4. Why humans fight. After the first battle, the Varens slowly began to understand the humans' ways. The aliens had never seen bravery like this. It was not the bravery of glory or ambition. It was the bravery of necessity, of survival, and of protecting others. Humans moved through danger without hesitation, saving those in need and refusing to let fear control them. Jack and Clara worked with the Varens every day. They showed them how to repair damaged equipment under fire, how to move across rocky cliffs safely, and how to build traps for invaders. They taught teamwork, patience, and endurance. Each lesson was simple yet powerful. The Varens began to see that survival depended on more than weapons. It depended on unity, skill, and courage. One evening, after another exhausting day, Lauren asked Jack a question. "Why do humans fight for us? You barely know us. We are strangers." Jack looked out at the jagged horizon, where the twin moons reflected on rocky ridges. "Humans fight because we understand suffering. We know what it is to be weak, afraid, and alone. And we know that ignoring suffering only makes it worse. We fight not for glory, not for power, but because someone must." Clara added, "Helping others is survival for humans too. We survive by protecting those around us. Life is strongest when it works together." Mura listened carefully. "But the Empire is strong. They will return and they will bring more ships, more weapons. Why should we believe humans can stop them?" Jack smiled faintly. "We may not stop them yet, but we can survive. And if we survive, we can teach others to fight, to endure, to never give up." "That is more dangerous than any fleet." Radin nodded slowly. "Then we will follow your lead. Teach us." For weeks, humans and Varens trained together. Every day brought new lessons. Humans taught simple but effective tactics. They reinforced shelters with rocks and soil, dug escape tunnels, and built hidden paths through cliffs. They taught the Varens how to carry supplies quickly, how to coordinate attacks in small groups, and how to rescue wounded under fire. The Varens struggled at first. Many were afraid, unsure of themselves, or slow to learn. But humans did not scold. They guided patiently, showing example after example. Soon, the Varens began to trust themselves and each other. One day, a small group of Varens watched as humans repaired an abandoned outpost. Lightning flashed in the distance. A sudden tremor shook the ground, and a rockslide blocked the entrance. Most Varens would have fled in panic, but the humans moved quickly. They lifted rocks, cleared paths, and worked together to save trapped Varens. The aliens were astonished. Mura whispered, "They do not hesitate, they act." Clara smiled. "Humans act because waiting can be worse. In danger, doing nothing often leads to disaster." Jack added, "We fight not for ourselves first, we fight for those who cannot." That is why humans survive where others fail. Over time, the Empire's movements became clearer. Their scouts monitored the planet, trying to learn human tactics, but humans were unpredictable. They adapted quickly, moving through rocky cliffs and dangerous terrain with skill that no enemy could anticipate. The Varens began to mimic these tactics, gaining confidence with every small victory. One night, as storms raged across the planet, Jack called a council. He showed maps of enemy movements and explained what the Empire might do next. "They will attack again," he said. "This time they will come stronger. We cannot win by hiding. We must use every advantage we have learned." "We fight not to destroy them yet, but to survive and prepare." Lauren asked, "And if we fail?" Jack looked at him firmly. "We will not fail. Humans do not abandon others. We endure, adapt, and fight. You have learned this now. You will survive because you cannot turn away from danger, and surviving is the first step to winning." The next day, training continued. Humans demonstrated how to organize groups to defend villages, how to rescue injured under fire, and how to repair equipment quickly. They taught the Varens how to coordinate signals using lights and sounds, so groups could move without confusion. The Varens began to move more confidently, working as teams and trusting each other. Mura led a small group through rocky cliffs, guided by humans. They carried supplies and checked defensive positions. For the first time, she felt capable, not afraid. "I can do this," she said to herself. "We can do this." Jack and Clara observed from a distance. "They are learning fast," Clara said. Jack nodded. "Humans do not just survive alone. We make others strong too. That is why we fight, because together we are stronger than any empire." Days passed. Humans and Varens worked tirelessly. The farms were repaired and reinforced, shelters were strong, and emergency signals were in place. Morale was high. The Empire would return, but now the Varens were prepared, confident in their survival skills and teamwork. Then came the first captured enemy. During a small skirmish near a cliff, humans and Varens captured a young Empire soldier. He was terrified, shaking, and confused. He asked questions, trying to understand why humans risked so much for the aliens. Clara stepped forward. "We fight because life matters. Because doing nothing would allow death and suffering to grow. We fight because survival is not just for ourselves. It is for those who cannot protect themselves." Jack added, "On Earth, humans learned long ago that ignoring danger or suffering only makes it worse. Helping others is survival. We survive together or we fail alone." The Empire soldier could not understand. He had been taught that strength was only about power, weapons, and fear. Humans showed him a different kind of strength, one born of endurance, courage, and cooperation. The soldier finally nodded slowly. "Then, this is why humans fight, not for glory, but for life," Jack smiled. "Exactly, and that is why you will lose if you underestimate us." The humans and Varens continued to prepare for the Empire's return. They reinforced defenses, trained in emergency rescues, and practiced moving quickly through rocky terrain. Humans shared simple but effective survival techniques: how to climb cliffs in storms, how to carry the wounded safely, and how to repair critical equipment in dangerous conditions. Mura watched a group of Varen children carry water with humans guiding them. "They are learning to survive," she whispered to Lauren. "We can survive this." Lauren nodded. "Humans have shown us the way. We will endure." Jack and Clara reviewed the plans for the final attack. They knew the Empire would return in full force. Humans had taught the Varens endurance, courage, and teamwork. Now they had to teach them strategy, patience, and how to act as one. "Remember," Jack said to the group, "you have learned to survive storms, hunger, and fear. The Empire will bring stronger weapons, but you will not break. You will act as one. Humans fight not for themselves first, but for those who cannot. That is your strength. Hold it." The Varens trained long into the night. They moved through rocky terrain, practiced group tactics, and rehearsed rescue operations. The children, too, learned simple survival lessons. Hope spread across the planet like wildfire. The Varens now had confidence they had never felt before. Far above, the Empire gathered its forces. They planned a final attack, intending to crush the humans and Varens once and for all. They did not understand what they faced, a population trained not only in weapons, but in endurance, courage, and the human way of survival. Jack and Clara looked at the horizon where the Empire's ships would soon appear. "They will come," Jack said. Clara nodded. "And we are ready. Humans survive, we do not turn away, we protect those who cannot, and now the Varens will fight with us not for glory but for life." The Empire would soon learn that humans did not fight like anyone else. They did not fight for power, wealth, or pride. They fought because life mattered, and because once humans chose to act, nothing could stop them. The Varens had learned this lesson. They had learned endurance, courage, and unity. The final battle would come, and they would be ready. Together with humans, they would face the Empire not with fear, but with the strength of those who refused to break. And that strength was something no Empire could destroy. Part 5. Earth's answer echoes. The Empire's fleet appeared on the horizon. Hundreds of ships glinted in the light of the twin suns. The Varens watched in fear, but humans stood firm. Jack Morrow climbed a ridge to oversee the preparations. Clara stood beside him, her eyes scanning the enemy lines. "They are coming," Jack said calmly. "But we are ready. Remember everything you learned. Survive first, protect each other, act as one." Lauren, Murrah, and Radden organized the Varen forces. Every village, every ridge, every tunnel had been prepared. Humans guided the aliens through last-minute checks, ensuring defenses were strong and escape routes were clear. The first wave of Empire ships descended. They fired energy beams that carved through rocks and dirt. The Varens froze, but humans shouted instructions. "Move, stay low, use cover." Jack led a strike team down a rocky cliff. They moved quickly, guiding Varens to safer positions and disarming traps that could be dangerous to allies. The Empire soldiers expected panic. Instead, they found calm determination. Varens moved like one unit, following the humans' lead. Clara coordinated medical teams. She treated wounds and reassured the Varens. "Keep moving," she shouted. "You are stronger than you know." The battle was chaotic. Storms swept across the planet, lightning striking dangerously close. Humans and Varens adapted, using the terrain to their advantage. They moved through rocky ridges, set up ambushes, and rescued those who were trapped or injured. Riley, a young human engineer, guided a group of Varens to sabotage an enemy supply line. Small explosions blocked the Empire's advance, forcing them to reroute. The aliens were amazed. Humans did not fight like anyone they had seen before. Humans did not rely on brute force alone. They relied on endurance, teamwork, and clever use of the environment. Murrah watched a group of humans carry wounded Varens across jagged rocks. "They are incredible," she whispered. "They risk everything for others." Jack shouted to his team. "Hold this line, do not let them pass, protect the villages." The Empire underestimated the humans. They had expected fear, chaos, and surrender. What they found was resistance everywhere, coordinated strikes, and unexpected tactics. Humans had trained the Varens well. Every ambush, every trap, every clever move slowed the enemy and caused confusion. As the battle continued, Lauren noticed a critical ridge under attack. He turned to Jack. "They will take the ridge and destroy the village below." Jack ran forward, leading a group of humans and Varens to defend it. The enemy was strong, but the defenders held. Rocks were rolled down slopes, traps detonated at key moments, and humans guided Varens to positions where they could strike safely. The Empire forces began to retreat, surprised by the determination of their enemies. Clara ran between groups, treating injuries and encouraging soldiers. "You are doing well. Keep moving. Protect each other." The Empire launched wave after wave, but humans adapted faster each time. They moved wounded, repaired broken defenses, and guided the Varens in coordinated strikes. The Varens began to understand the humans' way: survive, endure, protect others, and never break. Radden, leading a small group, saw a group of Empire soldiers approaching children hiding in a ravine. He froze. Jack was beside him in an instant. Together, they guided the soldiers into a trap, saving the children. The Varens watched, realizing that humans fought not just with weapons, but with cunning, planning, and the will to protect life. Hours passed. The Empire's fleet grew frustrated. Their ships were damaged, their soldiers exhausted. They had never faced opponents like this. Humans did not fight for pride, they fought for survival and for others. Varens, inspired by humans, refused to break. Mura looked around at her people. "We are strong," she whispered. "We can survive," Lauren nodded. "Humans have shown us the way. We fight not because we want to, but because we must and because we can." Jack and Clara moved to a high ridge to observe the battlefield. "They will bring everything they have," Jack said, "but we will survive, that is what matters." Clara looked at the horizon where lightning mixed with laser fire. "Humans survive. We do not turn back. We protect those who cannot protect themselves, and the Varens are learning this. Together, we are strong." As the Empire prepared a final massive strike, Jack called the humans and Varens together. "Remember everything. Hold your positions. Protect the wounded. Do not let fear control you. Act as one. Survival is our weapon." The Empire unleashed their attack. Ships descended, firing energy beams, dropping troops across the landscape. Humans and Varens met them with traps, ambushes, and precise strikes. Chaos surrounded them, but humans moved calmly, directing the Varens and rescuing those in danger. Riley guided a group to sabotage a key enemy supply vehicle. Clara treated the injured nearby. Lauren and Mura coordinated the alien defenders. Jack led a strike team to the most critical point, a ridge that controlled the valley below. He knew if the ridge fell, millions could die. The fighting was fierce. Rocks tumbled, energy beams exploded on impact, and screams of the wounded echoed across the valley. Humans and Varens worked together, saving each other and fighting back with endurance and cunning. Jack made a critical decision. He sent a small team through a hidden tunnel to flank the enemy. It was dangerous but necessary. The humans and Varens used the terrain to their advantage, attacking where the Empire least expected. Confusion spread among the enemy forces. Mura led a Varen group to support Jack. She moved through the chaos with confidence, guiding younger aliens and keeping them safe. "We can do this," she shouted. "Stay together." The Empire began to falter. Their soldiers were exhausted, their ships damaged. Humans did not retreat. They continued to protect each other, fight strategically, and move as one unit. The Varens followed their lead. Finally, after hours of relentless struggle, the Empire began to retreat. Their ships lifted off, damaged and disorganized. The humans and Varens had survived. They had held their positions, protected their people, and forced the enemy to withdraw. Jack looked at Lauren and Mura. "You fought well. You survived. That is more important than anything else." Mura smiled, exhausted but proud. "We learned from you. We can survive now. We know how to protect our people." Lauren nodded. "Earth answered our plea not with words but with action. You showed us the way." Clara walked among the wounded, offering comfort and hope. "You did it. We all did. Survival is the first victory. The Empire cannot take that away." The Varens began rebuilding immediately. Farms repaired, shelters reinforced, and communication lines restored. Humans helped wherever needed, guiding the aliens in recovery. For the first time in decades, hope returned to Vera. Far above, the Empire leaders realized their mistake. Humans did not fight for glory or conquest. They fought because life mattered, and they protected those who could not protect themselves. The Empire could not understand this strength. It was not weapons, not numbers, but endurance, unity, and courage. Jack and Clara stood on a ridge looking at the sunset. The sky was streaked with violet and gold. Storms had passed, and the land, though scarred, would heal. "We survived," Clara said quietly. Jack nodded. "And the Varens will survive too. Humans fight for life, and that is stronger than any empire." The stars heard their plea, and Earth answered, not with words, but with action. Mura and Lauren joined them. "We owe you everything," Lauren said. "But more than that, you taught us to survive, to endure, to protect each other. That is something no empire can take away." Jack smiled. "We did not do it alone. You fought with us. You survived. The galaxy will remember this." Earth answered, yes, but together we all answered. The story of survival spread across the Varen system. Aliens told their children of humans who endured storms, carried the weak, and fought without fear. They told of hope returned and courage learned. The Empire retreated, never underestimating humans again. On Vera, life slowly returned to normal. Humans and Varens worked side by side, rebuilding villages and farms. They trained for future threats, knowing that danger could return. But they were ready. Humans had taught them to endure, to fight, and to protect life. And in that lesson, the galaxy learned something new. Earth does not answer pleas with words. Earth answers with action. And when Earth chooses to act, even the stars take notice. The Varens looked up at the sky, grateful and hopeful. The humans smiled, knowing they had fulfilled their mission. They had survived, taught others to survive, and shown that courage and endurance were more powerful than any fleet. The stars had heard the plea. And Earth had responded,